UFC 306 has been officially rebranded to be Riyadh Season Noche UFC. Now, this is going to be one of the biggest events in UFC history. First sporting event at the Sphere, if I'm not mistaken. First combat event at the Sphere. The visuals are going to be insane and all of that. But there are a few things to talk about. There's a little bit of confusion and concern regarding Riyadh Season Noche UFC, formerly known as UFC 306. Today, we are going to talk about those. So stick around to hear my thoughts on UFC pay-per-view at the Sphere, September 14th. I'm Wyatt, and this is Fight Society. And before we get started, just one more time, thank you for 1,000 subs. Your support has been amazing. Thank you guys for helping me build this community. More great content coming to you all the time, nonstop. We're here. Fight Society, 1,000 subs today, 100,000 coming soon. So thank you for your support. Back to the video. All right, guys. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about in regards to UFC Noche, we're sponsored by Riyadh Season, which is the tourism promotion that many of you guys have seen in regards to the big boxing matches in Saudi Arabia, and also the most recently Whitaker versus Alaskarov fight night, which was at Kingdom Arena. Riyadh Season is the tourism promotional board of Saudi Arabia. They're heavily involved in combat sports. They're trying to make that part of the world a tourism location, hotspot for vacations and things like that. So they have things there like the world's biggest aquariums and F1 racing, big boxing fights, all types of big artists getting paid a ton of money to go over there and perform their music over there. But this is the first time that they've gotten involved with something that wasn't in Saudi Arabia. This is them name partnering with the UFC for this pay-per-view. And so first off, question is, what happens to UFC 306? This has been, UFC 306 was rebranded to be this, but does that mean that we're skipping UFC 306 and we're going to go straight from 305 to 307 from like a card numbering standpoint? Or is 307 now 306, 308 now 307, and vice versa, where they move it up? But this isn't technically a numbered pay-per-view, I don't think. It's a pay-per-view event, but it's not numbered. So are they going to skip 306? Are they going to keep it going? Like, are they going to just skip 306? Or are they going to make whatever was going to be 307, 306? So I'd be curious to see what they do from a naming convention style. This is going to be one of the sickest combat sports events of all time. Dana White has said that he spent $17 million on this event so far. And you also have him bragging, comparing it to the NHL draft, which was held at the Sphere, saying that it's going to make that look like kids with crayons. So we'll play that right here.
They did the rankings went all, or the draft thing went all the way up. That's going to be like fucking kids playing with crayons compared to what we're going to do. Literally. Kids playing with crayons.
And like he was saying, in regards to that, to the event being so much more impressive than the NHL draft, here's a sneak peek that they put up, at least so far, promoting the event. So here is the preview from UFC.com. And as you can see, it goes from black and white to colored. Super cool. This is kind of a cool graphic, but I want to see how they're going to do it with the fights. What are they going to use for the fights? How's the inside going to look? Are they going to have the fights displayed on the outside that are happening on the inside, stuff like that? So it is cool just to see it. And, it's got this naming sponsor. So maybe the UFC will really splurge and try to make it as crazy as possible, like 3 title fights, Conor versus Chandler, something like that. With that said, there is a little bit of a cause for concern given the amount of money that is being poured into the UFC by the Middle East. The Riyadh Season and the UAE both have money invested in the UFC, lots of it. UAE government owns 10% of the UFC going back to like 2010 or 2009. And now Riyadh Season, Saudi Arabia are putting $20, $40 million for events to be held there. And they're doing the naming convention or the naming sponsor for this Noche UFC, which is the first time we've ever had a pay-per-view renamed, like to be not technically a numbered card anymore. And then you have things like this, which I know is a customary thing in Saudi Arabia, but you have Dana and Turki Al-Sheikh holding hands.
For the first time, UFC and you in the kingdom, and it will not be the last time. And we want, my brother now, to have big card, next big card. We have big card tomorrow, Riyadh, and
So there you go. He's basically saying what we want from the UFC? What do we want from you, Dana? And, you know, obviously surface level, there's not much to worry about here, but when you think about it, is this oil money coming in from the Middle East from two different countries going to spoil the product of the UFC? And the reason that I say that is because you have like Sharaputin Magomedov, who got away with a blatant cage grab, where in the first round, his opponent mildly grabbed the cage, gets the position taken away and a hard warning. But then in the third round, Shara Magomedov gets a total pass for a blatant cage grab that defended a takedown. And here's what I'm talking about, because over here you have blatant cage grab from Shara Magomedov that he defended the takedown through the cage grab, and then literally a minute later or less finishes Antonio Tricoli up against the fence, where Tricoli had a position taken away from him in the first round. So it just makes me think that. And then you have Alaskarov getting a main event, although it's short notice. You have Umar Nurmagomedov going from beating a nobody to like sneaking into the rankings somehow. And then now he gets a number one contenders fight with Corey Sandhagen. So it's something that I want you guys to think about. Are you worried about this Saudi oil money diluting the UFC? Does that money give them too much power? What do you guys think about this relationship? What do you think is going on with UFC 306? Is that where we get Conor versus Chandler? Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. I don't really have a huge problem with this Middle East money coming in, as long as shit like that Sharaputin Magomedov cage grab don't go unchecked. Like things like that, they have to, it's a sport with rules. We have to at least adhere to them a little bit. But in terms of sponsoring cards, if it just means that the UFC can put on sicker fights, then I think that they should continue this relationship, as long as these people don't have too much influence over every single card or bookings and things like that, just because they're putting money into it. The UFC is already extremely successful as is. And I think that this relationship is fine as long as it doesn't dilute the results of fights, which might be a thing to have concern over, because as I just explained, just one fight, it's already happened. So that's my thoughts on Riyadh Season Noche UFC. That's my thoughts on the relationship with the Middle Eastern money that they have coming in. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and let me know who you want to see main event UFC 306 / Riyadh Season Noche. So let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want extra content aside from my regular videos, make sure to become a channel member today to get access to members-only live streams and other bonus perks. Click the link in the description down below, or click the join button on our channel homepage. If you're interested in non-MMA content from me, make sure to check out my personal channel, Wyatt's World.